Okay, this is Chapter 2. It's entitled The Rhetorical Situation, Understanding Audience and Context. What we'll work through in Chapter 2 is some component parts of rhetoric. Rhetoric is just the ability to use language effectively. It is a mastery of words and meaning that help you persuade people to your point of view. And it has 5 elements, and your book makes sure that it has these 5 elements, spelling out the word trace. T-R-A-C-E. It's the text, the reader, the author, the constraints, and the exigence. So each of these then is defined in Chapter 2. The text is the argument that is the oral argument, written argument, or visual argument. We may have just a speech that's being given. We may have an essay. In your case, in this class, that's what you'll be writing, are these essays that are rhetoric. They will be giving arguments. You might have a visual that is a standalone image or a cartoon picture that also could give an argument. But all of these, whether it's pictures or speeches or written essays, are the text of the argument. That is the T. Then there's the reader. That's the R. That is the audience. If it is a trial that's going on, the reader is maybe the jury or the people that are sitting there also in the audience. At a televised debate of 2 political candidates, the reader is the audience, which would be the audience that is viewing that television debate. Then there's the author, the A. That is the arguer, the person that is making the argument. So if you have a political film, or cartoon, a documentary, something like that, then that might be that the author is the filmmaker or the artist for the cartoon. It is the person that's trying to put forth the argument that they're trying to make. The constraints, the C. This is the influences on the audience. Many things can influence an audience, including the beliefs and ideas that they already have before they even hear the argument. So if you could think of a controversial issue, one that has a lot of people that have strong feelings about the issue, you could see that people automatically have a belief or an idea even before they would hear your argument. For example, if you were going to discuss gun control in schools and you were to come to give a speech about that in front of a bunch of teachers, then you would realize that these teachers would already have certain beliefs or ideas about guns in schools. As opposed to if you went to give that same speech to a group of, say, policemen. So every audience has a constraint. They have beliefs and ideas that they may already have about that issue, and that's going to affect the way they perceive your argument. Then there's the exigence. That is the reason for the argument. Why are you even making the argument in the first place? What is the purpose of that argument? Argument takes time, it takes thought, research, courage, conviction, all of these things. And to argue effectively, you need to have a motivation or a good reason for making your claim, and that's what the exigence is. That is the underlying reason for your argument. Why would you choose to make an argument about gun control? It's because you have those beliefs and feelings yourself about that, but you might have an underlying motivation for giving that information out. It's something you feel passionate for. That is your exigence. So that spells T-R-A-C-E. Okay? What you'll be working with then in tonight's class is this trace as a practice. You'll have a sheet like this where you'll first match up the definitions for the TRACE as you go through here. I'll give you the first one, that text is, remember, one of these over here. and if you get stuck, at the bottom of the page is the answer. So text is D. The argument itself is the text. Okay? And you'll continue through this. Now, you'll need your textbook for this, and I've dropped off the T off of the exercises here below because in each one of these areas that you're going to analyze, the T is the same. The T is the argument, and that T in each of these is a photograph. So the text is the photograph itself. So go to page 47, you'll go to page 61, etc. on this sheet, and you're going to analyze who is the reader, the audience, or the author, any constraints, and the exigence for each photo. You jot down your notes. These answers do not have to be in complete sentences. You also may use your buddy to also come up with possible answers, but everyone will turn in their own work here. When you're finished with this work, if you type it out, you could upload it to NGrade. If you choose to write it out, which is not what I prefer you do, but if you choose to write it out, you can hand it in the folder. But you would go through each photograph as you see on these different pages and work through what is the reader or the audience, what is the author or the arguer, what are the constraints, and what is the exigence of each photograph. You're going to see a variety of photographs, and this is what you think it is. It's your best guess. It's an approximation of what you think each of these areas are. So when you look at these photographs, you have to think about them to come up with what is the RACE, because like we said, the T is the photograph itself. That is the text of each of these arguments. So when that is finished, just upload it or turn it into the folder.